Ladies, gentlemen, others, welcome. I'm on my bed right now, so don't judge me, please. But I wanted to do a little chat because I've been seeing a lot of beef between millennials and Zoomers. I know that was a big debate on TikTok a while ago, but I've kind of seen it stirring back up again. And I think I wanted to give my thoughts on it. Now, if you can't tell by the hormonal acne on my face, I am in fact a Zoomer. So yeah, I was born after 9/11, so you can like cry about that in the comments, I guess. I don't really care. I'm not here to beef with millennials even though they take every chance they can get mad at me for my Zoomer takes when I feel like I'm pretty fair to them. But basically, I thought I would sit down and talk about this because I posted a tweet and it wasn't really well received. I don't really blame people because I feel like it did come off kind of wrong. And I kind of wanted to clear it up. And I feel like I couldn't do that with just text. So I was just going to make a video on just my general thoughts and kind of analyze what is kind of going on with both Zoomers and millennials with this weird, like, faction war we're having with these generations. It's really bizarre to me. So if you spend too much of your time on Twitter like I do, you might have seen this one tweet where this account posted a video of a high school in 2002, and they were just basically like, high school in 2002 looked so chill. That's literally the whole video. Here came the millennials kind of mad about this. Now, a lot of people were bringing up the fact that there was a lot of bullying back in 2002. My criticism of this was like, do they think it just like went away? I don't know, that was all I had to say. I was like, I don't know why you guys are saying that like you went through all this shit in high school, but kids nowadays don't. That's what was rubbing me the wrong way. Not that they were upset that people thought their high school experience looked chill, because I think it's like perfectly valid for people to be mad that something that was not fun for them is now being aestheticized, which I think Zoomers definitely do a lot. They definitely fantasize about life back in the 90s and the 2000s as something it wasn't, as something as more of an aesthetic. They more miss the aesthetic of it rather than they don't know what actually was going on, which I do think is an issue. However, I don't think you can claim that the problems in 2002 high schools is gone in current high schools. Now, the valid point I heard was mostly talking about how 2002 was right post 9/11, so I definitely understand that it was probably very difficult for, people who weren't white and people who were Muslim and brown and Middle Eastern. So I definitely understand that one, and that totally wasn't like what I was trying to deny. I wasn't saying that it was like better back then for like racism, because I definitely don't think that, but I also definitely don't think it went away because my generation grew up post 9/11. That's the world we grew up in. So I think, that stuff lingered on, and I think it's still a conversation to be had that high schools are still a hostile place for Muslim kids and people of color and queer kids. It's just they kept bringing up issues that I don't think are isolated. I don't think I really want to say too much more about that tweet because I do think it's just bait. And I don't really want to get deeper into the fight with millennials because they get pretty mad at Zoomers. And I kind of want to more talk about why that is because it kind of fascinates me. And it's almost seemed one sided too. Like, the most I see Zoomers go after millennials is like calling them Disney adults or making fun of like their behavior. It's more just like, oh, you like Harry Potter, you're a Disney adult. I don't really see it go too much further. There's just like a millennial vibe that people will make fun of on occasion, but it's usually a specific person acting a type of way rather than just generalizing a whole generation in this box, which is what I see millennials do to Zoomers all the time. And I'm a bit afraid that Zoomers will soon be in the same trap. I feel like it's the boomer trap, it's the boomer cycle where we grow disdain for those younger than us. Now, I don't know exactly why this happens. I have theories. This has probably been talked about further by people who actually know what they're talking about, but I am just a person who pays attention to stuff. So I think millennials are struggling because they are no longer, I guess, the it generation. I don't want to say that a certain generation is more important or better than another, but I feel like Zoomers are the ones that are coming of age right now. So they're kind of entering the world as adults. So the focus on them has been shifted a bit more because they are the young people now entering the world as adults. And I think millennials maybe feel a certain type of way about that. I don't think it's malicious inherently, but I think there's something about a new generation coming in that probably scares them a bit. And I think it's fair because millennials do have their own struggles themselves, and I feel like seeing another generation coming of age while they're still struggling as they've been adults for a while is probably a bit frustrating. Though the main thing I see millennials participate in is they like to play these exclusionary games. Now, that sounds a bit of inflammatory, but by that I mean they like to post about things like the only 90s kids remember. They like to feel like they're part of an in group, and they like to make sure that other people feel out of it. Because there is a fun in that. There is a fun in having an inside thing with an inside group that only some people get. I get that. But it's turned into an everything I had was good, or this thing I got was bad. So no one else deserves to have it good. I feel like that's the worst trap we see as generations do get older and new generations do come in. There's a bit of entitlement and kind of downplaying the intelligence and potential of the next generations. I feel like there's never an end to an older generation calling younger people out of touch, trying to prove that they're maybe dumber, lazier, and that kind of justifies making the world worse for them in a way. I feel like it's this loop of this capitalist hellhole we're in where we grow up in a world that's bad and we don't like it. And then we see a generation younger than us that is depressed and more mentally ill than the last one, and therefore we find them lazy, therefore we think they deserve less. So this is a cycle that I don't like to see, and I see millennials falling into that trap of wanting to make Zoomers seem like these lazy, dumb, out of touch, annoying young people that don't deserve the things they do. I'm not saying this is the line of thinking for everyone. I don't think many people actually believe these things word for word in their head. I just think that is probably the mindset that has been cycled through. I think it's subconscious. However, I do believe that that's what's going on. And again, I think Zoomers are definitely susceptible to do that to the next generation of younger people. And I want to avoid that. In fact, I think millennials and Zoomers have more in common than we think. We honestly have lived through a lot of the same types of problems in terms of scary housing markets, job insecurity. We've seen a lot of social progress and also, setbacks. We grew up during a lot of technological advancement. We're in crippling student debt. I think millennials and Zoomers need to find more in common rather than kind of play back and forth to see which generation is better or which generation had it worse. Because that was my problem with that first tweet, is that millennials were very quick to be like, we had it so much worse than you guys. Stop complaining and stop aestheticizing our childhood. And it's also funny because I feel like millennials are the first people to be like, Zoomers are playing the oppression Olympics, and then as soon as it comes to growing up, they play the oppression Olympic, not the oppression Olympics, but it's like they're having a mid off of like who had it harder. And again, I definitely do believe that being in high school in a post, like immediate post 9/11 America probably sucked. It probably did, especially for people of color. Oh my god. But this isn't about when it was better. This is about our experiences and how nothing has changed. That's the part I was trying to bring up. Nothing has really changed that much. And we could be working together to make it better for the next generation. I think most of the reasons Zoomers will act a certain type of way to millennials is because millennials have been so hostile to us. I've noticed that, like, a lot of millennials are definitely hostile to me, definitely talk down to me. They can be condescending. I even see a lot of millennials make fun of, the Gen Z look. I can't even count on both my hands how many times I've seen, like, the Gen Z starter pack in, like, my replies or, like, someone else's replies. Like, y'all were wearing low-waisted jeans. Like, let's relax on making fun of people's looks right now. Y'all were on MySpace. I don't want to play the who was uglier game because I'm not doing that. I mean, Zoomers aren't children anymore, but I think what this boils down to is just, like, stop bullying children. I mean, when this stuff first started, and, like, I think there was, like, the weird TikTok back and forth between millennials and Zoomers. This was, like, 2019, 2020, so I was a teenager still. I was 16, 17, almost 18, around then. But that was, like, a weird fucking time. It was, like, millennials getting pissed at Zoomers for, like, the weirdest thing. It was, like, the weirdest things. They'd get mad. I remember there was that one girl who was like, Gen Z's trying to cancel Eminem.
Gen Z's trying to what? Cancel Eminem. Gen Z's trying to cancel Eminem? Honey, that's cute. Listen, little kitties, let me make this quite clear. This man was around even before you were here.
Which is like, who said that? Who's trying to cancel Eminem, first of all? I don't think anyone's trying to cancel him. They're just talking about how his music for, like, the past, I don't even know, decades has been trash. It might have been okay when you were a child in the 90s, but, once you get to around 2000 something, I'm not familiar with Eminem's discography. It gets bad. So, relax. But there was, like, all this back and forth on TikTok, and it was most of these millennials being like, Gen Z did what? Gen Z did what? And then Zoomers being like, lol, Disney adult, go talk about your Harry Potter house. It was just petty, and it was kind of dumb. Has any other generation, like, beef like this? Like, I'm kind of fascinated. A lot of this is just my observations. This is not me, like, solidly answering anything. I think this is just me, like, ranting. I mean, you can discuss with me further in the comments. I'm just, like, trying to get my thoughts out there because I'm baffled that this is a thing to begin with. There was a tweet I had a while ago that got a lot of millennials mad. It was literally a joke I made. I literally said, why do millennials look like that? And they were so mad at me. I was like, y'all have been treating me like I was this out of touch, cradling baby idiot my whole fucking life. And then I say, why do they look like that? And you're like, oh my god, how can you say that? So, my final thoughts. Millennials, you gotta relax a bit and try to work with us. Because I think together, we can make the world better and fix the grievances we have from our childhoods. And maybe we can even share what was good about our childhoods. I'm sure there's a lot that we could bond with. And Zoomers, my message for Zoomers, do not fall in the same cycle. If I ever see you motherfuckers talking down to a younger generation, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. We're in a fucking permanent cycle of putting down younger generations so that things don't end up getting better because we're mad it wasn't better for us. And that's not how I want things to be. I want things to be better for the people after me. I want people to have things that I didn't. I'm in crippling college debt. The healthcare system's fucked me. Like, I've faced, homophobia for being bisexual. I faced a lot of misogyny. Like, I'm not gonna be like, other generations should have to deal with that because I had to. No, I'm gonna do what I can to make it better because I don't want other people to deal with that just because I had to. That's the mindset that I want to get rid of, and I think we need to stop holding this disdain for those younger than us because they're not here to shame you by like the virtue of just coming of age. They're not here to do anything to you. They're not your enemy. They're not. And I think that's all I have to say. So, you can let me know your thoughts. This was just a little ramble. I'm Allie, and you could subscribe, like, comment. Ugh. I guess if you're a millennial, you'll probably dislike. That's okay. That gives me engagement. And that's awesome. So, yeah, I hope you have a good day. I mean this with all the love in my heart, and I want to have conversations to make things better. Goodbye.